Yeah. Okay, yeah. Mwana fatal fat ave uma su ule fiunga pursili e malpule nga foi am tanga lunga nei fa felo e toilo to maru sa I foi male fatala ula to le proketi mo se tatu fata singa nei a uli ai fa malu lu atu o den faina a wa atu yo no tele lava tutungia. On behalf of our CEO and management for MNRE, I'd like to welcome you all for this afternoon's workshop. My apologies, I couldn't be with you today due to my PCC schedule. And this is very important project. And we've been working together with Marina and Lamiko and UNDP team to put this together. And it's quite happy for us we were targeting some schools to pilot our project. When you talk about circular economy, it's a new term. So it's an economic system that tackles global challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, waste, and pollution. Right now, if we're not going to do anything about it, we're not going to adopt circular economy. It is a fact that volume of plastic entering the ocean will almost triple. And perhaps in Samoa, we import and manufacture plastic bottles of about 32 million a year. So that's a huge amount from our waste audits. And I'm so happy to have you on board and to work with us to make this project a success. And not only that, and we like to, this is a very sustainable environmental education platform, especially for the students to really adapt, because what we think is that waste management is everyone's responsibility. It's not only the government, it's not only organization, it's everyone's responsibility. So I'm happy to have you on board this afternoon. And I guess with those 3 words, I guess Marina will walk us through the presentation and this workshop this afternoon. Faafetailava.
Thank you for those encouraging words and for your keynote address. So we'll now move on to the main presentations. Want to do the introduction now? Or?
Just 1 second, just finish the screen. Just want to confirm that everyone online can see the presentation.
Yes, Marina, thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to do some housekeeping rules before we start. For people needing the toilets, they're down the corridor, past the kitchen. Men or straight women have to take the left and go around the building for extra exercise. In the event of the fire alarm going out, we will go down to the kitchen, take the main door out to the field, and that's our point of reunion. Please make sure you register yourselves on the sheets around. For those joining online, please put your name, school, and email on the chat box. And also, may I ask for those joining online to please mute yourselves during the speech and presentation for sound clarity. This session will be recorded and will be converted into a YouTube video for you to share with your colleagues at the schools, but also the parents. We will have a questions and answer session following the presentation. And let the presentation start. Okay. So distinguished principals and teachers joining us today, thank you very much for your attendance, which marks the start of UNDP's Bag That Builds educational program embedded into the circular economy for the recovery of waste, or like we like to call it, zero waste program, in partnership with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment of the Government of Samoa, the British High Commission in Samoa, the Scientific Research Organization of Samoa, and the Center for Regenerative Design and Collaboration, global. Very briefly, I will touch on the overarching aim of the Zero Waste program to provide you with the background. Essentially, what we're trying to do is develop value chains for low-value waste streams from segregation through to the recovery in country to create circular models and divert from landfill what can be recycled in country and that would otherwise be expensive to export due to its very low value. The project looks like glass, plastic, and paper, but we're here to engage schools in the plastic waste pilot. Plastic represents 16% of the waste generation composition of households in Samoa, and a recent water biosecurity study conducted by the United Nations with MNRE, the National University of Samoa, and the New York University showed that microplastics were found in almost all water samples, mangrove, fresh, and salt water in the island of Upolu. It is not an invisible problem, and it is everyone's business. Inspired by this year's Global Recycling Day event, organized by the Samoa Recycling and Waste Management Association, known as SWAMA, where students from 14 schools within Apia urban area participated in a 2-week competition. They collected a total of 4,144 kilos, which is over 4 tons of recyclable waste, mainly PET plastic bottles, making evident the success of the collection drive led by children and youth, which is the reason why we're targeting school students. We want to leverage that to test a sustainable long-term system where, with your help, students are the agents and catalysts of change. So right now, apart from small-scale efforts to segregate and recycle PET plastic bottles, which are the most valuable plastic type, we're following a linear take, make, waste model. We buy something, then we throw it away. And we usually put our plastic waste into the general rubbish bag, which gets collected twice every week in the urban area and taken to the landfill in the best of cases, if not littered or burnt. In any case, the landfill is reaching full capacity within the next 4 to 5 years. But we found that if we don't know what's at the end of the value chain, why would we change our habits and practices if we know it's going to end up landfill? And through the Zero Waste program, we want to educate on segregation of plastics to collect this separately from other waste streams and allow for a circular model to be introduced in Samoa. And this means creating value-added products from the plastic waste. And we found that we can do this in Samoa, and that is making resonate from plastic. So we don't want this model, we want a model that looks like that. Recycling any type of plastic, putting them into one bag and creating resonate from plastic waste. So I find that telling you what can be made from plastic can already spark hope, let alone motivation to engage. So what is resonate? Resonate is a high-value, lightweight aggregate indistinguishable from natural sand used for construction. And not only that, it improves the structural, thermal, and environmental properties of concrete. And it can be used for concrete blocks and pavers, precast concrete, as well as poured-in-place concrete. The more structural the product, the less the ratio of resonate mixed with the cement. And the beauty of this product is that it accepts all types of plastic. You may have noticed on some plastic bottles this recycling triangle symbol with a number that refers to the type of plastic the product is made of. As mentioned previously, clear plastic bottles tend to be number 1, PET, which are the most valuable and can be exported for recycling into a new plastic bottle. But all other plastic types are not that easily recyclable. Now, to make things easy, since we can't expect to go from not segregating at all to segregating by plastic type, what we can do instead is put all plastics into one separate bag for recovery into Resonate, which accepts all types of plastic and is made of 80% recycled plastic, which is then mixed with 10% calcium hydroxide and 10% ash. Now, don't worry, we won't be asking the school children to do this process. However, they are key in ensuring the value chain and circular model is enabled. So on our way to the circular model, you will have noticed a bag that says the bag that builds, and this is what we're here to introduce to you today. And is presented by the Center of Regenerative Design and Collaboration. They're based, a private sector company based in Costa Rica, which have the mission to rid the world from plastics in partnership with the Ministry of Natural Resources from the Government of Samoa and the British High Commission. Sorry, I'll go back to that. The Bag That Builds is the educational program we want to introduce to you for at-source segregation and collection of plastic waste, all types of plastic waste, as I've previously mentioned, types 1 to 7. And it has two main components, targeted to the schools and its students. And those are education and awareness on plastic pollution and management on the one side, and segregation at source and centralized collection for plastic waste on the other, which contributes to the wider zero waste program objective of diverting plastic waste from landfill, littering, or other forms of harmful disposal. So where, when, what, and how will this program materialize? Where, it will be a combination of school and home-based activities with an additional 2 to 3 field trips envisioned. When, it starts in term 3 of the current academic year and sustained over time if proven successful within 6 to 9 months. What? It's a fun and interactive activity-based educational program combining school workshops, surveys, cleanups, intra and inter-school competitions, and much more. And activities will be tailored to the preference of each school and can be extracurricular or within school hours embedded into the curriculum if linkages are identified, such as through a particular science topic. And how, with an enthusiastic team of young Samoan activists engaged as goodwill ambassadors and co-facilitators that will support the delivery of the planned activities. But what does this look like? For terms 3 and 4 of 2021. So on term 3, we will focus on segregation and collection of school plastic waste. So that is the plastic waste produced at school only. There will be waste auditing of school plastic waste segregated and collected, and weekly journals to report how much is being collected. And if we break that down further, so today we're on week 2 of July, and this is the introduction to the schools. And by the end of this month, we hope to roll out the toolkit to the schools and the knowledge, attitudes, and practices surveys to establish a baseline. This will help us measure the impact over the program. Then into weeks 1 and 2 of August, we will start having the school workshops delivered by the co-facilitators, which are a group of Samoan youth, enthusiastic and environmental, and that will be trained to perform the school workshops. And then towards the end of the month, we will put that learning into practice through fun activities such as plastic treasure hunts or relay races. Then in September, towards weeks 4 or 5, we will do plan school community plastic cleanups and audits. Again, to put this into plastic and take the students out of the school environment. So that would be, I guess, the first field trip. And then as we transition into term 4, the idea is that we look at household plastic waste. So the 15 students you have nominated per year will take a plastic bag home, and then they will be asked to segregate their household plastic waste from the general waste and bring it back to school for weekly collections. So we will have a system of waste collectors, apologies for to pick up the household plastic waste. And there will also be weekly journals and waste auditing of household plastic waste. The breakdown of activities for term 4 is a midterm review and survey and audit in the first couple of weeks of October, because I know there is a term break between September and October. And then towards the end of October, a school competition. So that could go from photography to essays. We will define it down with the group, the network of youth co-facilitators, as well as in consultation with the schools. I know November tends to be exam period, if I'm correct, so we will leave students alone. And then towards December, have a couple of expert-led knowledge sessions, which can relate waste to health, waste to climate change, and other relevant aspects. And then looking into 2022, we are hoping of simulating the Youth Collab. The Youth Collab is basically pitching of business ideas. And since we're looking at circular economy, we want to tap into children's creativity to come up with products made out of plastic waste. And then it will be judged so by level. Obviously, the youngest maybe on creativity and imagination, and then the oldest looking at college level more what's most marketable, what they think is most marketable. And then also a field trip to the Resonate facility. We hope to, by term 4, end of term 4, bring the technology from overseas and have it established. So hopefully children can get a taste of what is being done with the waste they're collecting. So each school will receive a toolkit formed by 3 main components, and we hope to roll this out by the end of this month. First one, visual communication resources. Second one, the auditing tools and student workbooks, journals to record what the waste that is plastic waste being produced, and educational games. Going to go step by step. So for visual communication resources, each school should expect to receive 4 A2 laminated posters to hang around the classrooms or corridors, 1 laminated drop-off sign, which is where the bags will be picked up from by the waste collectors, and 35 flyers. Those ones are to be taken home because in the transition towards term 4, we would want them to know how they have to segregate and what to put in the bags. So that's the informative flyer for the households. And we've included a couple more for the teachers participating. On the auditing tools and workbook journal, there will be 2 portable hook weighing scales to weigh the bags, 180 bags for term 3. So that's focusing mainly on the plastic waste collected at schools. And then when we transition into term 4, each of the selected students will be given 1 bag per week. There will also be a plastic waste log sheet template provided, student workbooks and journals to record all the data and other activities, and up to 2 cages. And this is to store the plastic waste. This depends on the needs of the school, what is available. If the school has a waste stand, can it be used for this purpose? If not, so we will engage in consultations with each school individually through the survey program for weeks for end of this month. And thirdly, the educational game. So we will also equip the school toolkit with 1 age-appropriate educational game. These are some examples. We're yet to specify which one we will select, but the most relevant to our program. So the benefits are innumerable, but these are a few of both the short-term and long-term. For children and youth, first is putting gaming and fun at the core of problem solving and education with activity-specific incentives and rewards. Also, the stimulation of the interest in safeguarding someone's natural and cultural heritage, enhancing problem solving, advocacy, and leadership skills, and broadening children's horizons by presenting new future career prospects and paths within the circular economy, green entrepreneurship, and waste recovery industry. For schools, we're looking at short-term incentives and rewards for intra and inter-school competitions, enhancing the delivery of environmental and science-related curriculums, and playing a leading role in educating the next generation of leaders, our children, through environmental responsibility, ownership, and advocacy in the management of waste. And for households and children's families, really leaving behind a healthier planet for the generations to come through convenience and no-cost solution to plastic waste, playing a leading role in advocacy by showcasing sound waste management practices to the surrounding community, enhancing resilience by mitigating and slowing down the adverse effects of climate change already threatening our communities in this unique island context. And if proven successful in the long term, there is potential for income generation opportunities within this sector. So what's next? Very concrete activities for this month. By the start of week 3, so Monday next week, you will be receiving this presentation, a YouTube link, and a compilation of questions and answers that we will have after this session for further dissemination to parents of the participating students. In week 4, we will coordinate with the youth network of Goodwill ambassadors and facilitators and introduce them to the participating schools. And towards the last 2 weeks of the month, we will roll out the toolkit per school and the knowledge, attitudes, and practices surveys that will be conducted by the youth network, and undertake the consultations with the participating students and relevant school personnel. So UNDP will continue to facilitate the communication on a very regular event by event basis. And Lameco, he is our project coordinator. He will be available for any further clarification that you need. I would like to now open the session to any questions and answers that you may have. And we will put this together into a package that will be shared with you afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation. Just like to please don't feel overwhelmed with the presentation, as she alluded to earlier, that this will be tailored to the preference of each school. We know that different all the schools are different in terms of capacity and what and the resources they have available. Tanto forse non vuole lei un po' tu vuoi tanto per fare la via mudare to ci si dà e vuole tanto io fai conferma ma la metto la per sai noi marina. Yeah, I don't want to session for Q&A. Just we can discuss and make it informal as possible. We don't have to be too formal. Well, I'm going to see the video. I don't fare tutto ma tu vai non è tagliato si le per no. Tu sei portato con sama le mate leo vai mo bien per fare. Patalo quanto fuori le to busso alla dopo. Oh, my little Salvador,
well, I think it's a very exciting project and I'm really looking forward to doing this with my group of kids. Can you tell us how involved you will be? Will you be coming out to the schools and leading sessions, that kind of thing? Or do we have to be going out as teachers?
So the idea of doing a youth network is that they will be facilitating the sessions. So the sessions will be facilitated in collaboration with us. So some events we will be there, but otherwise there will be a team that has been trained to deliver those sessions. Obviously for security reasons, it would be great to have a teacher there and obviously to be engaged with them, but all guidelines will be provided, like a teacher's guidebook as well.
Do we come together as a group?
It's up to you.
While this is going on, I mean, it'd be quite good to be able to at some point share how we're going.
Yes, so the midterm review is planned around assess the program. So that's envisioned in the middle of between term 3 and 4.
Ideally, after today, there will be constant communication between yourselves and the UN.
Just one other thing.
Yeah.
I think that the field trip, just putting at the very end. Do you feel that that's something that could motivate kids? That if they see that earlier than the end, bring that forward. You're saying that you're not going to do it, say, until the beginning of next year.
The facility. That's because we're waiting to receive the machinery by the end of the year.
Because there's everyone in year 8s and they won't be involved in the.
So the reason we selected years 6 and 7 for primary school is because they will still be at the school next year. So they can roll over.
To 7 and 8 next year.
But they can also educate the previous years.
Yes.
So now we're working downwards after the program. But it's intended to be a sustained program over time. The program per se is to build capacity of a few that can lead the capacity to rest. But the system itself would, that's what we're trying to facilitate.
If some students decided to pull out, can we add more students? Or
Yes, so we capped it in 15 per year, 6 and 7. I know some schools decided only to put 1 year forward. So if they decide to withdraw, we can always, up to 15, that would be our cap.
Can we have other extra students within the class? Like not part of the project, but I'm thinking that I've got only 21 students, so what are the other 6
Yes.
to do?
Yes, so
I
the
could do that
activities.
as a whole science unit with my.
So the activities will be for all students. It's more the students taking the bags home, bringing them back because of the bags. But
That would be fun.
the resources on the toolkit are available to all years in the school. You know, once you put them out the corridor, so it's not limited. It's just the facilitated sessions can be per year for years 6 and 7. But then when we go into households, then we have to limit it to 15 for the purpose of the pilot. And hopefully, if it's successful, everyone will be doing that.
And all of that stuff is provided by you? Journals,
Yeah, everything in the
bags
bags
and everything.
everything.
My question pertains to the plastic bags to be taken home by the kids.
Yes.
I'm referring to the vulnerability of the kids on the bus. Will the space be able to be from the bus?
Yes.
For the transport.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's organized.
this that during our discussions when we developed the program. And it's really up to the school if they feel that they should bring it, then perhaps that particular student should participate. Give the opportunity to another student. It's a concern for us, a lot of students to carry these size big bags on the bus.
But then if we're going to the child, if the child is very, very down to interested in the program.
Yes.
And you find the kid that you can't bring that because you can't bring it on the bus. So you actually be weed out. Now, you're actually letting the kid down regardless of the child's interest. Because that's a very, very delicate sort of a proposal.
So in the bigger picture towards term 3, we're doing another parallel test, if you like, which is with church and youth groups in the community. So if we pay to that, the child would be able to take it back to their community church or where we decide to place the cages and the bins. But that will not be rolled out until term 4. And that doesn't necessarily engage the school, which I see your point.
Could the school organise to pick bags up? Do you think? Could the school organise to pick the bags up if there were?
But that's another problem. We're looking at now another problem for us, which what isolates it. Whereas can this body be able to actually pick up these bags with plastic bags from the students' home?
To the school.
To actually help that solve the problem. That's one option for me. I mean, that's the personal age focus.
Yeah.
Two, is to focus basically to ensure that the child's interest, educational need is not demolished.
Yeah.
That's the main aim here for me.
Yeah.
I would like to see that this is very beneficial, that it's a very good project. And I would like it to be done by students in my school.
Yeah.
I would like it to be done and then they get to take it home and they can affect their families and their friends in the villages. To ensure that when the next step of the program comes out, they already have got some kind of an idea in relevance to what the program is all about.
Yeah.
And its benefits.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want the child's internal interest to that.
Yeah.
Or because of that, on the bus sort of,
So,
We are in Zambia.
just like to introduce our deputy resident representative, Ms. Verena Bender. Yep. Go ahead.
Hi.
I was in a call and I wanted to be here at 1 o'clock, but I got delayed. I'm really pleased to see you. I'd like to come into your question. I think your point is very, very important, and I think it's important that we find a solution to this. So can we gauge how many of the children in the pilot group would be in the situation that they would bring the bags in a bus? So if we have a number and we know roughly where they come from, we will find a solution. And we will, if need be, make available additional resources for transport.
Yes.
And it would be good to know how many children would be in that situation.
So for example, those kind of questions will be included in the survey that we hope to roll out, and that helps us establish the baseline and understand the needs of each school. And that's why we really want it to be tailored around the school. And it's really good that you raise this now, because when we design this survey, we will include that sort of question. How do you get to school? Would be a problem for you to bring the pet with you, to be able to cater and design the program around you. That's the idea as well. Thank you for raising it.
So is the still a good one?
No, really, because we did participate in a program like this that was done by Jacob before. And we had a chair in front of my office as a product of that, but it's just faded away when when the project ended. So we were very happy to, we know our school is a big school, there's a lot of waste, so we're trying to find out how we're gonna collect all those. We already have some boxes from the MNRE. They had 4, so we're putting all the plastics inside. And they said someone will pick it up. We're still waiting for that someone to pick it up. So we'll put it to that bag and then continue that program. So I'm so thankful for this program.
I mean, it's good to utilize existing resources, and the idea of this project is that it's sustainable, that we train.
Yeah.
And it can be sustained over time. We don't want it to be, you know, when funding finishes, that's it, basically. We want to now put the resources into it, build that capacity, and have that system in place. If the system is successful, it's something that the government may adopt as a viable solution, as a cost-effective solution of centralizing waste and then reaching out to the more vulnerable households. So that's how we see it, and this is what it's a pilot, but we really want it to be sustainable. So we will learn and pick this, and that's the idea also of having midterm reviews. And as Jan suggested, meeting with everyone to see what the progress has been and what could be improved towards term 4, and then continue afterwards. Also the reason why we selected year 6 and 7.
Does the Ministry of Education here know that you are doing this?
Yeah, so through the Ministry of Natural Resources, we have previously environmental program, especially through the System Device Igano catchment area. We have channeled the communications.
Just ask for the workshops, with kind of place, or is there a central meeting place for the workshops? How are those conducted?
So we're thinking of reaching out to the school, unless they are cleanups where we can, if some schools are around the same area, we can join forces there. But mainly we will come to you and in the setting of the classroom or the playground.
Also keep in mind that the project is trying its very best to utilize the school hours. So I guess this is the time as principals and teachers with what's been presented, if you have any questions of the interaction from the team into the school and that, we'd like to hear your concerns on that area so that we don't distract school hours, that we don't want to do that. We want to make sure the learning takes maybe around within the school hours, not too late, not too early, but not taking the kids out of the classroom while the learning is going on. So if you have any questions, anything that you'd like to provide us to help us in our planning, because we're still in the planning, it's not yet confirmed, it's still drafted as we go along. We'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well. Like what would be the best times of the months as we have those dates for us to do certain things? Or if it's your time of exam, you don't want any distraction, we'd like to hear that as well.
I think for the interest of time, we leave it to the school to go and develop the own program based on what's presented, and then give us the feedback.
And one thing, it's kind of nothing is written in stone. We're developing this together. So if you think you want to have a learning unit that deals with waste management and plastic, and you decide that for you it's actually preferable to do it as part of the module during class hours, then we can accommodate that too. So we're going to be entirely guided by you. So you decide, and we will accommodate, could cater to your preference.
I think it lends itself to be part of the learning that's happening at a science unit, environment unit.
The reason we're saying this as well is because we're aware of the MESC schools and the private schools. The private schools have that perhaps flexibility. MESC schools might have to be rigid on their curriculum. So we accommodate to anything. What we want, our aim is to educate. So whether that's outside or inside work, class hours, it's fine with us. And that's why we're also growing the network of youth that can work with us to make sure that we have the available team.
Yeah, I can't speak for the colleges, but for primary, I think this topic can be integrated in both science and social science. The only thing is, when it comes to collecting, do we sort them out? Because I think that's another way of educating the kids, is to sort them out and then have them know which plastic goes into 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4.
So all types of plastic will go into a single bag. You're just separating plastics from the general rubbish.
Okay.
So the idea behind that is that the workshops, we educate them on what goes in the plastic bag that this program makes itself responsible to collect, and why. Why are we separating plastic, right?
What you mean is all 7 plastics will go into 1 bag.
Yes.
You don't have to sort it.
Pero não era para todo sama. Oh, eu falei de tu esse seria lá piscina. Eu tá com chego lá piscina. Foi mais também de foi na banda e lá. O ila le va tu i pero va tu kit. Va tu ni scale vale. Pela va tu sima va o male fa uma fa bom. Ila le fa ina ga também já o ma fa ya. Fo le apo le mafo le la piscina plastic le também titi. Fa mau ila. Sa le sta me munguli ane o atu le ia youth ambassador se pelo tano atu marino. Le la hala me va te sale. Atu le fa ita workshops. O lauta to famitala to pino ta lo la va to to kit. Oh. Para solo le to con calame. Apio mela samo to marino. We're not here to push the program ilumo fa ya o pula mai fa. Ah, le to atu le fa ta dia o le la va ye le se mo fa ya. O le to mate pula pula le pula. E pusi me se poco la mitad se mai mo le ta sa ha. E mo fa yo ha no le fa ya. Ai no va pe le to va to le time ai no va tu ta ma bueno i. Le yo le tu atu no fa ta le wa o ma tu e ma tu fa ya. O to le ti fia ma le no le me ta ona vi fa mo le me fa lo no. Ai pe yo le pa le ta sa ma le o to ta to time. So we ask you for your time. I want to tell you to get it. Ilha ainda vai o lápis cinco.
Ale kau fianga is October. If so, engale is 12, but they are in the program. Le committee 12, but yeah. So.
If it's not yana, we're gonna have constant communication between the schools. O the regular me como le dato foco ponti todo dato pro dato vai lá e fa so tu si se pouco la metà fa ai mola
Ang papel si ko draft mai mangu Facebook via mana foling dele ya se
le draft là le tout non de la fa no tu sta fai là fa tutto si le foi ai ma tu fa le tu si se tu fa là.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So just quickly go into this one in relation to his question, because although there are 7 types, we're collecting them in 1 bag, but we will educate them about the types of plastic in the workshops. And for example, just to give you a very practical idea, after the school workshops, when we plan an activity such as a relay race or a treasure hunt, where we're hiding different types of plastic, they will be having to identify them to know why this one doesn't go in the bag, why this one goes in the bag. Because for example, say a toothbrush, it's got silicone. So we can't take that because silicone is not one of 7 plastic types. So building that capacity and really testing them and playing with them to see if we need to build more or just practice is the way forward. And then I'll put the timeline up.
So that's the draft timeline.
But if it doesn't happen within weeks 4 and 5, it can happen within weeks 1 and 2 of the next month. It's very flexible and adapted to your schedules as well. If we see that, for example, before term 4 starts, children have already got the idea of what goes in the bag, what doesn't, and they want to take it home, we can also cater that, and depending on the progress of the school.
Looking at the timeline, you'll be coming up with
of July, on week 2 of July.
Yeah. The timeline. No, this is the intro that I'm referring.
This is the intro to the schools. Sorry, will be coming 4 and 5 with the toolkit.
So when you come into school, all the students that were limited to the representative.
All year 6 and 7.
The 30.
I had 30.
No, all 6 and 7 years, but you have 15 nominees for the bags. That's why we needed 15 nominees for the bag, but all other students can participate in the workshops, educating everyone and collecting from school. But when it goes to the household, that's when we have to limit it to test if the system works.
The people
You always mention the number 15, but the list came out to our school, it's 30 altogether.
Yeah,
15 from year 6.
15 per level.
From year 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify, okay, what Marina is saying, when they come out to do the awareness program, it's not limited to only the nominations that the school is getting. The only time that is limited to those names is when they take the bags home.
Oh.
Hence the consent of parents, and it's okay for the children to bring the bag and they will help in the plastic segregation from home. But any awareness that's brought in the school, it's open to the principal and the school, if they want 4 classes to attend the awareness together with your nominations. Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the process, of course, if you decide to put them in the corridor, all children will benefit from that. If you decide to put it in one classroom, then it's up to you to utilize them in process.
And the others help? What if other students want to take bags home instead of not only the 50? Say there are only kids who wants to.
Sorry, I'm also part of the CERO team. I think just from hearing the discussions, it's clear that we might, in the way we've designed it so far, sort of be marginalizing some from the class in order to fully participate. So it's something that potentially we can actually have another look at and say there might only be 20 students in a class. So if you're leaving 5 out, we probably do have enough bags to provide another 5. So we selected 15 just on the idea that, we're not quite sure how many bags we're going to have throughout the whole project. So we just wanted to make sure we could supply at least 15 per year group. But say there's only 20 or up to 25 students in a class, I think we can look at it from our side and actually readjust the way we've designed it and provide a bag for every single child so that there's that full participation from each student. So I think there's room for that. So I think in the survey that we maybe do as well, one of the questions would be how many children are in each class, and then we can look at it, so we can provide a bag for each student.
Because if I go back and I say we have 60 and 9, we're going to have a competition, every class will have to provide, so every kid will want to take a bag home.
Exactly.
So
So I think we can definitely adjust the way we've designed it so far. That's the good thing about we're in the planning stage right now. So all the
at least I know they can always take more than 50.
That's the purpose of the talk about that open communication between the schools and you. Is when you bring up issues like this, if I move here, then we can respond.
Unless we say good to it, so much.
We're co-designing the program together.
Okay.
So we will combine these questions and answers as well, provide you with the written. Sure.
Well, looking at the presentation from the beginning, I'm really glad because this is a very important part of it is inside the curriculum, the science curriculum and the social studies when it comes to places and environment. I think the most important thing behind this is the educational aspect of it, is to care more about our environment, because our school has been participating in one of the projects like this by the SWAMA, and it was very effective. And you can see the communities behind it was very supportive, the parents, and that's why the point that was raised from back there a moment ago, that the number of students participate should be, open, because I think our school, when things like this comes out of the classroom, everybody wants to participate, especially in a kind of a school with a large scale like us. And it's kind of when everybody was raising their hands in class, they wanted to participate. And when I exclude them, from joining the team, it really puts a sort of a bad,
Okay.
cover on it. So that's why my advice, because we're still on the planning stage.
Sure.
It wouldn't be better if just open the number up, like
To the entire year.
if the whole class wanted to participate, I'm pretty sure parents will be very supportive, it's very helpful, and it's a good thing when the kids do this back home, to show that is a way to expose more and to do more for the environment.
Yeah.
So, because I see plastics everywhere, and
Yeah.
initiatives like this are very important. So, and very educational. So, for me, that is my only request.
Yeah, we
Because-
hear your advice, and I think the survey, we will make sure that there is that we understand the context of your school, how many students there are, and then we'll come back and see how we can cater. So, I mean, we're planning with you on the way to design it to your preferences as well. So we definitely take on your advice and hope that we can definitely cater for all students for the entire year.
So I think it's fair from around the table, everyone wants to increase the numbers of students participating. So we're maybe.
That's great.
Yeah, it's good, but we just need to provide the consent form, and then name all those students who are relevant, then we'll include it in the list. And we know how many bags that we need.
Yeah, we will resend this information with the whole package that we've just presented as well. We have to leave it here because I'm now presenting to colleges. So just for your information, there's 20 participating primary schools and 13 participating colleges. So it's a very good uptake considering it's the start. We hope to include more in the future. So thank you very much for attending today's session. And we look forward to working with you and my children participate. It's fun. I'd like to be back at school right now.
I ask one question before we actually conclude this. Curiosity to actually come around, the idea that sustainability partnership program with the school. Where will this program take the schools? Will it be a monitoring system of this after the deadline as stated up here? Or will there be a follow-up program on it? Because this is really very beneficial for the community as a whole.
Yes.
And I'm very supportive of it. Going to the national school, I would love to support my school in pursuing this project, fulfilling it to the utmost. But I would like to find out whether the sustainability partnership of the program with the schools, will it be continued by means of being monitored, or will it be a follow-up program?
So the idea is that we provide you with the tools for monitoring, and that if proven successful that the system works, we're working with the Ministry of Natural Resources so they adopt a system that works. So if we can prove that it's successful and improve the cost effectiveness of it and everything, this is something that should be sustained over time. And we're trying to learn from all those projects that, as mentioned, like, finished and then nothing happened. The idea of having a product at the end of the value chain is the sustainability. We're creating something, so we need the system to work, and that's what we're working towards.
Sito, do you want to add? As Sito mentioned in his opening keynote address that, they're happy to join with UNDP on this project, because if this is successful, they can actually use it to change policies and procedures and legislation, and then make it more sustainable for everyone. Because at the moment there's a problem with the collection and the segregation, and this is a good step, first step towards the proper management of those. We've done.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Lamiko. Yeah, that's the intention of the ministry. We like to trial this. If it works, then we can include it in our collection system. So we are looking at how we're going to do it. And then from the evaluation of this pilot approaches so that we can, like Lameko said, that we might change policy and legislation and to include this, because at the moment there's no segregation at source of the way. So this will be trialed, and then if it's successful, then the ministry will adopt it.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically, is there any other? Because we have another group that's coming in too, the Robo.
In closing statement, thank you very much on behalf of QNDP for participating in this with us. And we're very excited about the whole project. We're trying new approaches, we try to innovate. What UNDP does globally is we work with governments, try to achieve the sustainable development goals. And so we see what governments have in place, what systems, what legislation. We try to help them push the envelope. Governments often do not have the resources to try out things. That's where we come in to try to prove concepts for governments that to take up and sustain and use whatever evidence we can provide through our interventions to inform changes in systems and policies. So we have very high hopes for this project in particular. We only participate in one of the waste streams. We also work on glass and paper in parallel. So it's
So you might be brought into this glass. It's just dangerous with children. They might get cut. But paper is something that schools produce a lot of. So if this system works with plastic being the most problematic at the minute, then it's also the sustainability also goes with extending it to other problematic waste streams that are produced at school.
Thank you so much for your time. And we really look forward to working with you in this. So hope you're as excited as we are. We have the team to drive this. And it's the team there to support. And then you and the leadership is completely on board with this as well.
Thank you so much.